Well, this is the first time the GC has been back in the garage for literally almost a year because we've been busy working on the Datsun, redoing the whole garage, but now we're finally ready to start on it. And today we're going to be talking about exactly what's wrong with it and what plans we have for it. Now, if you're not familiar with this car, I did a build about 2 years ago where I started to turn this thing from a daily driver into the stage rally car that it is now. I didn't have very much time with work and I was on a deadline to get it all done before the very first rally, which we broke a lot of stuff during that rally, and then I cobbled it together, kind of fixed some stuff, did another rally, did a lot of little rallies here and there. So it has had a lot of abuse and it's definitely showing, and it really needs some tender loving care. So that's the plan, is we're pretty much gonna start over with this thing. One of the biggest things that I need to fix on this car is how much it leaks. Literally everything leaks. I have the windows that leak on the side, the hood vent actually leaks, the front windshield leaks, the rear window leaks. There's just water everywhere. Underneath, water comes in. Just literally, it's terrible every time that it rains or we hit a puddle during rally or something like that. Water just starts coming in everywhere. So that is one of the biggest issues that I need to address. And I really want this thing to be completely sealed up because it's super annoying for it to always be wet. It's getting moldy, it's getting nasty. There's like 2 gallons of water in the trunk right now from this thing sitting outside in the rain. Like, I can literally have fish in my trunk right now because there's so much water. Apparently that's the only place that's fully sealed up because it doesn't want to come out once the water gets in. Part of the reason is because of how bad that window is in the back. When I initially put that in, I just cut it out of Lexan because I shattered the rear window, and I had like 2 days to get this car completely ready for the first stage rally that we did. I rushed that, it didn't use enough rivets, didn't use enough sealant, and it ended up not lasting at all and leaking pretty much the very same day that I put it in, like all the sealant dried. So that definitely needs to be replaced. I'm not sure if I'm going to use glass or Lexan in the future. We'll definitely address that later on. We also have quarter panel rust. Just like every Subaru out there, this thing is not exempt at all. It's also starting to rust in a lot of other areas as well. So we got to take care of all that because I'm tired of this thing just looking like it's falling apart and being like a clapped out hoopty. So we're going to try to fix all the rust, do some body work on this thing. I'd like to paint it all one color rather than the like 4 different colors that it is right now, and maybe do some body work on it just to try to smooth out some of the stuff, especially the roof. The roof patch job that I did when I replaced the sunroof was terrible. Should have English wheeled that piece of sheet metal that I put in there, and it ended up coming out flat and super obvious. So one of the things that we have to replace is the exhaust, and that's because we've broken it at every single rally that we've done.
Into a left 2, stay out. Something sounds weird.
Yeah. I did a good job on the exhaust the very first time that I did it, and then we ended up hitting a rock and it ripped the header open, and from there just had constant exhaust issues with it falling down, breaking off, stuff like that. Right now it's actually just dragging on the ground because there's literally nothing holding it there. So we have to completely rework the exhaust and do a much better job of tucking it up a little bit higher. That way we can really protect it a little bit more from all the debris underneath the car as we're driving, and do a better job of hard mounting it to the car so that the hangers don't come loose and eventually snap the exhaust because of that. Now, one of the biggest things that we're about to tackle with this build is making it a lot lighter. So this car was originally in a wreck up front. The whole frame rail on the passenger side was crumpled. It's still kind of crumpled. It's all kind of like hammered out. This hood is all rusted out because it's the original hood and they just kind of like reshaped it, put body filler in there, kind of made it look a little bit better. It's really rusted, super heavy, probably weighs like 45 pounds for just that hood. And all this sheet metal, we're just going to get rid of it. We're going to tube the front end, add a lot of lightness, and simplify a lot of the stuff in the engine bay, kind of clean it up, make it a lot more functional, easier to work on, because right now it's pretty difficult to get at a lot of items in the engine bay. I'm also going to be completely redoing the brake system in this car because right now we're running the stock brake booster with the stock master cylinder, and in rally driving, especially with how I drive with a lot of left foot brake. you're not really seeing any vacuum on the engine. So you run out of vacuum for the brake booster right away. And that gives you a very inconsistent pedal feel as you go to push the brake. You'll go to push it after you may have downshifted and you built a little bit of vacuum, and you have pedal assist, and then all of a sudden you use it 3 times and you're out of vacuum in the diaphragm of the brake booster, and now you have a lot harder of a pedal feel. So you have to push a lot harder to get the same amount of braking force. It's like going from power brakes to manual brakes as you're driving. So it's super inconsistent, and honestly it's a little sketchy. So we're just going to delete that. I'm also having issues with the master cylinder on the last rally. The pedal just went to the floor, lost all pressure.
To a left 5. Left 5.
I'm gonna slow down, brakes went to the floor.
Oh.
But there were no leaks in the system, so I don't want that to happen again, because that was pretty sketchy when it did. And another thing that really needs attention on this car is the electrical system. The last rally that we did at the firm in Florida, we had a lot of random electrical issues after hitting a couple of bad jumps and some huge ruts and stuff. So things are definitely loose and causing issues. Right now we have the main fuse box and relay box in the engine bay like it would normally come stock, but the harness runs through this wheel well right here, and it's right above the wheel. So if you lose your wheel well, it's completely exposed to all the debris and rocks and everything like that as you're driving. So we've got to find a way to better protect that, whether that's relocating the box somewhere else and getting the wire completely out of there. I'm also going to be moving the battery into the cabin so that way we can get a little bit more weight into the back of the car. Right now, with how heavy this thing is, if you didn't see my weighing video, go check it out. But right now the car is at a 60-40 split weight distribution. So all the weight's up front. So that just really causes it to nosedive if you go on jumps or anything like that. So we need to get as much weight off the front end as we can and shift as much to the back as we can as well. And it'll reduce a lot of the wiring that I'll have, because right now the hot has to go all the way into the cabin anyway to get to the cutoff switch. So if it's inside already, it'll be a lot less of a distance that it actually has to go to get to the cutoff switch. Oh yeah, we also have a shattered windshield, which happened from the last rally, and that has to be replaced as well. That was just because someone did not want to pull over, even though we caught them. And I tried to stay back because the road really wasn't wide enough to pass them, but I ended up getting hit with their gravel spray quite a bit, and it shattered the windshield. Which really sucks because it's not cheap. You technically can't rally with a shattered windshield either. Luckily, it didn't shatter as soon as it happened. It was a couple days later when we actually drove back. So we were able to continue racing, but it would have been super annoying if we had lost our windshield due to gravel spray and we weren't able to race because someone didn't want to pull over because they thought they were going fast enough. Well, I'm sorry that this video was just me talking about everything that I'm going to be doing to the car. We didn't actually get any work done. I promise as soon as I'm done with this video though, the engine's getting pulled and we're going to start cutting up the front end and getting started for the tube front end. So definitely stay tuned for that. If you aren't subscribed, definitely subscribe. You don't want to miss any of those super exciting updates that I've got. Go check out my Instagram too. You'll see a lot more updates if you want to stay more current on the actual build process as it happens. I try to be better about posting on there. I should be able to get a lot of stuff done on this car within the next couple of months because I've got a lot more time on my hands to actually put into it. So definitely stay tuned for those updates. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait to actually see like the finished product of this car and it not be just a complete eyesore in my driveway and at rallies and just like this thing that falls apart during every race. So hopefully we can make this thing a lot more reliable and robust and maybe less of an eyesore as well. Anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling. I gotta get to work on this thing because I promised you guys some videos. Gotta actually get started on it. Hopefully the next video that you guys see will be cutting up the front end. So hopefully you stay tuned for that and I'll see you guys there.